Morning. The time for convening has arrived. The Senate will come to order. At this time, we'll ask all unauthorized personnel to exit the chamber. I recognize the senator from the 28th to read the journal.
Good morning, Mr. President. And look forward to a great day serving in the Senate today, and want to thank all our pages that came today to help us work through this day. Our page lineup today, we have Mason Dunning, Kent Gresham, McKay Vinton, Nia Omard, Olivia Bernard, and Ian Boss. So pages, thank y'all very much. Look forward to working with y'all today, and just if y'all need anything, come find me. Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all, guys. Appreciate it. All right.
Mr. President, little fun facts. On this day in 1959, Barbie made her debut at the American Toy Fair in New York. And that makes today Barbie Day. Also, it is False Teeth Day, Get Over It Day, Name Tag Day, National Crab Meat Day, National Panic Day, Popcorn Lovers Day, and World Kidney Day. And for my good friend, the senator from the 8th, this little fun fact, on this day in 1964, the first Ford Mustang was produced. Who knew? Mr. President, the journal has been read and found to be correct.
1964?
1964.
The Ford Mustang, huh?
Ford Mustang.
All
was
right.
produced.
Is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading and references to Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Bill 293 by Senator Watson of the first and others, a bill to be entitled an act relating to county boards of health so as to provide that operational policies and procedures of the Department of Public Health apply to local personnel, to authorize the department to establish health districts, to revise the manner of selection and qualifications of district health directors, to provide for a chief medical officer for a health district under certain circumstances.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Resolution 275 by Senator Alvarez of the 56th and others, a resolution creating the Senate Study Committee on expanding Georgia's workforce and for other purposes.
Rules.
Senate Resolution 279 by Senator Dolezal of the 27th and others, a resolution creating the Senate Study Committee on Certificate of Need Reform and for other purposes.
Rules.
Senate Resolution 282 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others, a resolution creating the Senate Study Committee on Foster Care and Adoption and for other purposes.
Rules.
Senate Resolution 285 by Senator Sims of the 12th and others, a resolution recognizing March 22nd, 2023 as Go Vote Georgia Day at the Capitol and for other purposes.
Rules.
Senate Resolution 286 by Senator Beach of the 21st and others, a resolution creating the Senate Minority Business Enterprises, Women-Owned Businesses, and Veteran-Owned Businesses and State Contracting Study
Rules.
Committee. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Secretary read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Finance has had under consideration the following legislation, has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Resolution 66 do pass. House Bill 162 do pass. House Bill 311 do pass. House Bill 482 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Huffstetler of the 52nd District Chairman. The Senate Committee on Public Safety has had under consideration the following legislation, has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 142 do pass. House Bill 242 do pass. House Bill 268 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Albers of the 56th District Chairman. The Senate Committee on SLOGO has had under consideration the following legislation, has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 287 do pass. Senate Bill 288 do pass. House Bill 492 do pass. House Bill 539 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator again of the 47th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Secretary will read bills and resolutions for the second time.
House Bill 85 by Representative Cooper of the 45th and others, insurance require health benefit policy coverage for biomarker testing if supported by medical and scientific evidence. House Bill 147 by Representative Wade of the 9th and others, Safe Schools Act enact. House Bill 155 by Representative Martin of the 49th and others, professions and businesses, issuance of licenses by endorsement for spouses of firefighters, healthcare providers, and law enforcement officers who relocate to Georgia provide. House Bill 203 by Representative Newton of the 127th and others, health, restrictions on sale and dispensing of contact lenses with respect to physicians, revised provisions. House Bill 332 by Representative Parrish of the 158th and others, controlled substances, schedules 1, 4, and 5 provide certain provisions. House Bill 402 by Representative Hilton of the 48th and others, education, water safety education information to parents of students under 18 years of age and to students 18 years of age and older provide. House Bill 440 by Representative Stoner of the 40th and others, education and authorize public and private schools to stock a supply of undesignated ready-to-use glucagon. That completes the order, Mr. President.
It is now time for our morning roll call. Are there any motions? Are there any motions to excuse? I recognize the senator from the 18th for a motion.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. President. I would move that we dispense with the morning roll call.
The senator has moved that we dispense with morning roll call. Probably a good idea, Senator. And is there objection? Without objection, we're going to dispense with morning roll call. Hey, let me get everybody's attention real quick, please, before we have our pastor of the day, if you don't mind, Senate members in particular. We got 9 days left, and they're going to be busy days, and we're going to be recognizing a lot of people, and there's going to be a lot of noise going on, and and people get excited about having special recognitions as well. They should, both the senators and whoever we're honoring. But let's be mindful of the noise in the room. Let's be mindful of who we're recognizing here at the roster, because, like I said, it got a little loud in here yesterday, and there was a few Senate rules broken, that not intentionally, we only allow one senator at a time in the well, and also, that's a rule that we have. Also, we just need to be mindful and try to be cordial to the guests that we have down here, because they're all our constituents, and we want to celebrate all of them when they do come down here. So. Just please be mindful of that, and as we move forward, and I just appreciate y'all's time and courtesy on that. So, it is now time for our morning devotion. You ready? You ready? Now time for the Pledge of Allegiance and the morning devotion. I recognize the senator for the 14th to lead us in our pledge and introduce our pastor of the day. Senator?
Thank you. If everyone could join me, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to our United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and good morning, colleagues. Good morning to our visitors in the gallery. I'm honored today to rise to introduce the chaplain of the day, Reverend Dr. Jennifer McBride from All Saints Episcopal Church in Atlanta, Georgia. Reverend Dr. McBride has her PhD from the University of Virginia, and she's Associate for Formation at All Saints Episcopal Church in Atlanta. Want to acknowledge that we have visitors in the gallery today from All Saints and St. Luke's. Thank you for being here. Previously, Reverend Dr. McBride served as Associate Professor of Theology and Ethics at McCormick Theological Seminary in Chicago, held the Board of Regents Endowed Chair in Ethics at Wartburg College in rural Iowa. After a postdoctoral fellowship in the Initiative in Religious Practices and Practical Theology at Emory University, she served at the Candler School of Theology as program director for the Certificate in Theological Studies at Metro State Prison for Women. She is author of several works. You Shall Not Condemn, A Story of Faith and Advocacy on Death Row is one of them. Radical Discipleship, A Liturgical Politics of the Gospel. The Church for the World, A Theology of Public Witness, and is co-editor of Bonhoeffer and King, Their Legacies and Import for Christian Social Thought. Her work has appeared in popular publications and featured in major newspapers. McBride is the president of the International Bonhoeffer Society, English Language Section, which is an organization made up of scholars, religious leaders, and readers of German, pastor, theologian, and resistor of Nazis, Dietrich Bonhoeffer. She's married to Dr. Thomas Fabizak, who runs a college degree program at Lee Arrendale State Prison for Women through Life University in Marietta, causes close to my heart, and serves as the executive director of the Georgia Coalition for Higher Ed in Prison. Please welcome to the podium here Reverend Dr. McBride.
Good morning. Thank you, Senator McLaurin and Senator Jackson and Lieutenant Governor Jones for this opportunity. It's an honor to be here with you. I do want to begin by acknowledging the sudden passing of your colleague, Representative Nagiz. We pray for her family and all of us who are mourning her loss today. About the time that I was receiving this invitation to serve as chaplain, I was also invited to 2 different advocacy days at the Capitol, one with my community of Episcopalians who are here today, and one related to my former work providing higher education in prison. With these advocacy days in mind, it struck me how much of your work involves listening to others, share their dreams, their visions, their hopes about the kind of world they want to live in. It occurred to me that much of your work is hospitality, making room for Georgians to come and share, welcoming us into this space that is unfamiliar and can be a bit intimidating. Hospitality and listening are connected, since listening requires the willingness to be open and ready to receive. So listening and hospitality are not only part of your job description as public servants, they are also deeply spiritual practices. They are spiritual practices that we may continuously develop and hone. This morning, I want us to reflect on the spiritual practice of listening by drawing on one of my favorite passages from Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who you just heard about, the mid-20th century German pastor, theologian, and Nazi resistor. Because of his courageous resistance to Nazism, Bonhoeffer has become somewhat of a household name in some Christian circles, which is a rare accomplishment for an academic theologian. Many readers of Bonhoeffer begin with his book, Life Together, because it reads like devotional literature. But Life Together is more than a devotional book. It is Bonhoeffer's description of the kind of human community that is needed to withstand destructive forces that may be present in any society. When Bonhoeffer wrote Life Together, he was leading an illegal seminary that was training pastors for the confessing church, that body of Christians who were seeking to resist Nazism. So while Life Together provides practical insight for his audience of Christians, it's also a book about public life, one that reminds us that the practice of listening well to one another is vital for healthy community and the common good. Bonhoeffer writes about the practice of listening in his chapter entitled Service. He says, "The first service one owes to others in the community involves listening to them. Just as our love for God begins with listening to God's word, the beginning of love for others is learning to listen to them. God's love for us is shown by the fact that God not only gives us God's word, but also lends us God's ear. We do God's work for our brothers and sisters when we learn to listen to them." Bonhoeffer continues with a cautionary word about how hard it is for leaders to take a listening posture, be they religious leaders like me or political leaders like you. He says, too often leaders think that they are supposed to offer something when they are together with other people. They forget that listening can be a greater service than speaking. Many people seek a sympathetic ear and do not find it because we are talking even when we should be listening. There is also the kind of listening with half an ear that presumes already to know what the other person has to say and is only waiting to get a chance to speak and thus to get rid of the other. Those who think their time is too precious to spend listening only have time for themselves and their own words and plans. Bonhoeffer is good at getting to the heart of things, and as we just heard, sometimes his words are piercing. Our refusal to listen well to another person, to their practical wisdom, often born from experiences different from our own, is for Bonhoeffer an attempt to get rid of that person, to deny her personhood and her place in the community. For Bonhoeffer, refusing to listen well is also an act of arrogance, even a will to power that advances our own words and plans or those of our in-group without acknowledging other people who live in community with us. Bonhoeffer's concern is spiritual formation, how the habits of our lives shape us over time as individuals and communities. He says that those who no longer listen to one another will no longer be listening to God. They will always be talking, even in the presence of God. The death of the spiritual life starts here. But, he concludes, the ministry of listening has been entrusted to us by the one who is indeed the great listener. My friends, listening is a spiritual act, a political act, a divine activity, for it is a practice that transforms people and societies. Listening worthy of the name opens ourselves up to being genuinely changed. It is risky and takes humility, for when we listen well, we risk a changed heart and mind. Being heard also has the power to transform the speaker, affirming her worth, her belonging, her vital role in civic life. Thank you all who are gathered here for your commitment to take holy risks, to risk speaking and risk listening to one another. Let us pray. God, you are the great listener, the one who affirms us as speakers, who hears our prayers, our dreams, our desires for a better world. By listening to us, you grant us dignity and worth and bring us into community with you. Help us to mirror your love, to listen well to one another, so that we might be changed for our own sake and for the sake of the common good. Amen.
All right. If I could have everybody's attention real quick. If I could have everybody's attention. We have always have, we have always have constants, a chaplain of the day and a doctor of the day, and it really is a pleasure to have Dr. Trey Gunter with us today. His father actually serves over in the other chamber, in the House chamber, but he was born and raised in North Georgia, and now he's a physician there in Dawsonville, Georgia, homegrown physician, and serving us in one of our communities, and he's come down here to volunteer his time, and we always appreciate our physicians being here. So if everybody give Dr. Gunter a warm welcome, I'd appreciate it.
Thank y'all. It's an honor to be here for you today. Last time I was in this room, I was 11 years old serving as a page, so it's great to be back. Providing medical care for y'all today is just a small token of my appreciation for all y'all's dedication and hard work and sacrifice. So we deeply appreciate our long-standing partnership with the General Assembly and the medical community with our common goals of serving our communities. One of the many examples of that is your continued support for trauma funding. The hospital I work with, Northeast Georgia, was just certified as a level 1 trauma center, so your support certainly made a big impact. So again, thank you for all you do. Thank you for keeping Georgia one of the best places to live and grow and do business. Thanks.
We have a number of special guests here today, and I've got the senator from the 1st, the 24th, and the senator from the 19th here that helped sponsor this resolution for our good people of the Forestry Division, Georgia Forestry Association. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Resolution 230 by Senator Anderson of the 24th and others. A resolution recognizing and commending the Elbert Franklin Hart Madison County Unit on being named the Georgia Forestry Commission 2022 North Georgia Unit of the Year, the Grady Thomas County Unit on being named the 2022 South Georgia Unit of the Year, Area 3 on being named the 2022 Forest Protection Area of the Year, Gabe Outlaw on being named the 2022 Forester of the Year, and the Cost Share Team on being named the 2022 Forest Management Team of the Year, and for other purposes. Whereas the mission of the Georgia Forestry Commission is to provide leadership, service, and education in the protection and conservation of Georgia's forest resources. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend these forestry units, Forest Protection Area, Forest Management Team, and Forester of the Year for being named the 2022 South Georgia Unit of the Year, North Georgia Unit of the Year, Forest Protection Area of the Year, and Forest Management Region of the Year. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. I'd like to call on our good friend, our senator from the 24th, to speak to the resolution, but we greatly appreciate all the hard work that our Georgia Forestry Division does, and all the people and the industries that support that association as well as that agency there. So, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. It gives me great honor to recognize the people behind me, the people that help us stay safe in the state of Georgia, also helps us control burning all over the state of Georgia. The Georgia Forestry Commission is nationally known. We are one of the top-ranking states in the Georgia forestry. We have winners here today from the northern zone and the southern zone. And I'm going to speak about the ones in the northern zone, and I'm going to turn it over to Senator Watson to talk about the winners in the southern zone. In the northern zone, it was Elbert County, Hart County, Franklin County, and Madison County. But at this time, I want to recognize our Senator Sam Watson to recognize the ones in the southern zone.
Thank you, Senator. It's good to be here. It's an honor to honor these guys. I tell you what, this time of year, they're extremely busy. There's a lot of burning going on across our state, and our state is the #1 forestry state in the nation, and the reason it is because of these men behind us who protect and women, that protect our forest, manage our forest, and replant our forests. But it's an honor to have some guys and ladies from South Georgia unit, from Thomas and Grady County. They've done a phenomenal job in protecting our forests, and just honored to have them here. And I'm going to turn it over to Director Tim Lowmore, and he's going to say a few words as well.
Thank you, Senator Watson, and thank you, Senator Anderson. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for having us and all of the senators. We certainly, this means a great deal to our agency and to our employees, and it certainly, we appreciate you joining with us and recognizing really our best of the best across our state. So I'll be brief with my remarks, but I do want to take a second here and just see, I see the Georgia College Bobcat over here, and I think that's especially for me because I started writing a check to you guys about a month ago, or last year. So President Cox, thank you for the job you're doing over there. You know, forestry is important to our state. Forestry in Georgia is the #1 forestry state in the nation. And, you know, I don't believe that's by any coincidence. I believe that is largely you guys as a legislative body and the leadership in our state have a lot to do with that, with the policy that you set, and that you make Georgia a great place to do business, and specifically a great place to do business in forestry. Prior to serving as a director, I worked for a very large publicly traded corporation, and I can tell you there were many days that we sat around and talked about how fortunate we were to be doing business in this state, and largely in part because of the policy that this body makes and sets, and the attitude that this body has toward business and toward forestry in our state. I also believe that our agency had a large part to do with that. Our agency's been in existence for 100 years. And I can tell you in the 2 years that I've been here, Georgia has something special in the Georgia Forestry Commission. Our people are dedicated, they're committed, they take our job very seriously, and we wake up every day as a privilege to go out and protect Georgia's forest resources and the industry that those forest resources that they feed. So I'm certainly glad that we're here and happy that we're able to celebrate today and recognize our employees. I've got 4 behind me. I know there was a host of our folks that wanted to get into the balcony, and they were unable to get up there, I think because of the great attendance that you've got here at the Capitol today by the Boy Scouts. So that's a great thing. And I'll just say in closing, what I want to end with is that the 2 years that I've been here, I can honestly say that Georgia is fortunate with the employees that we have and the important work that they do and the important work that our agency does to support the forest products industry. And every one of us, the ones that are behind me and the ones that are outside upstairs, we take it as a great honor to serve our state and to serve the landowners of our state. And we are committed to keeping forestry relevant and important in our state. And I truly believe as an agency our best days are ahead. And we thank you for joining with us in celebrating our successes and the best of our best. And please know that if we can ever be of help to you, reach out to us and give us a call. Thank you.
All right. We have, we have several guests here today. We've got a table full today, but it's an honor to have the senator from the 10th and the 43rd and 31st recognize our next group here. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Resolution 198 by Senator Jones of the 10th and others, a resolution recognizing and commending Dr. Susan J. Kelly and for other purposes. Whereas Dr. Susan J. Kelly has long been recognized by the citizens of this state for the vital role she has played in education and her deep personal commitment to the welfare of the citizens of Georgia. And whereas she is a person of magnanimous strengths and unimpeachable reputation for integrity, intelligence, fairness, and kindness. And whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper that the outstanding accomplishments of this remarkable and distinguished Georgian be appropriately recognized, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize and commend Dr. Susan J. Kelly for her efficient, effective, unselfish, and dedicated service to the Georgia State University and extend to her best wishes for continued health and happiness. Mr. President, that completes the order.
It's an honor to have Dr. Kelly here today and show how appreciative we are of all her great work in her career. And she just told me she's already ready to go back. So she just retired, but she's might head back out. So we'd love to have her back. But I now recognize, is there objection to the adoption of the resolution first? Chair hears none, the resolution is adopted. I now call on the senator from the 10th to speak to our guests.
It is indeed my high honor and great privilege to share with you a little information about someone who I've known and worked with for the last 15 years. Dr. Susan Kelly is a professor of nursing at the Bernardine F. Lewis School of Nursing and Health Sciences at Georgia State University. After 28 years of leadership and service to Georgia State University, Dr. Susan Kelly retired in December of 2022. Dr. Kelly has filled many administrative roles in the Bernardine Lewis School of Nursing, College of Nursing and Health Professions, and its professor and its predecessor, the College of Health and Human Science. Dr. Kelly's tenure at Georgia State began in 1994 when she came from Boston College School of Nursing, where she was a professor and department chair. After 2 years on the Georgia State School of Nursing faculty, she became the director and then associate dean of research for the College of Health and Human Sciences. She was dean of the college from 1998 until June 2011, including a year as acting dean. She later stepped in to lead the School of Nursing in 2017 for 2 years. Shortly after arriving at Georgia State, Dr. Kelly founded Project Healthy Grandparents. This research community service program supports grandparents raising grandchildren, providing social services, legal assistance, and home nurse visits to build up intergenerational care families. In 27 years, Project Healthy Grandparents has served more than 3,500 grandparents and grandchildren in DeKalb and Fulton counties. Dr. Kelly has secured well over $8 million in intramural funding for Project Healthy Grandparents. And let me just say that the reason why I wanted to have Dr. Kelly here today is because I was raised by a grandmother. And some 15 years ago, Dr. Kelly tapped me on the shoulder and asked me if I would join her board for Project Healthy Grandparents. And I can tell you through the work that I've seen these last 15 years at Project Healthy Grandparents, Dr. Kelly has been a force. She's been a force in teaching grandparents, those that have already raised their kids, but by some misfortune have had to go back and raise their grandchildren, how to be better grandparents. This project has touched my heart in many, many ways because constituents of mine in DeKalb County took advantage of this program, and Dr. Kelly was gracious enough to allow them, and those personal experiences that they shared with me, I can tell you was invaluable in their career in doing a much better job in raising their grandkids. We must recognize that not all families have a mother and a father. We must also recognize that thankfully for programs like Project Healthy Grandparents and people like Dr. Susan Kelly that's been on the leading edge in teaching grandparents how, again, to parent grandchildren. So it is indeed my honor to stand here today and salute a woman that I've known for the last 15 years, who I've watched work diligently out in the fields every single day in promoting the lives and building up the lives of not just grandchildren, but also grandparents. So Dr. Kelly, we owe you in this body a great deal of thanks for the pioneering work that you've done in our great state. And this program really was the first of its kind in Georgia. It's been replicated, but some would say not duplicated, over at UGA as well as the Medical College of Georgia. And I understand that the program at Medical College of Georgia is still ongoing. So Dr. Kelly, on behalf of our great state, we salute you today. She is joined by her husband, who's here with her today. She's also joined by Robin Stead, who is a social worker, and Ms. Menasha Shineberry, who is the Assistant Director of Project Healthy Grandparents. And also she's joined by Dr. Patricia Lawrence, who is the current director, who she has already tapped me on the shoulder and said, Senator, you must continue to serve. So I am honored to present today my friend, someone who has spent 28 years of her life building up the School of Nursing at Georgia State University and devoting her life's work to building up grandparents and supporting grandchildren. Please stand as we honor Dr. Susan Kelly.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone. I am particularly grateful to Senator Jones for his longtime support of this program. As you heard him say, he was raised by his grandmother, and when he first heard about the program, he immediately understood what we were trying to do. So thank you so much, Senator, for your support over the years, as well as this incredible honor for today. I also would like to thank, of course, the Lieutenant Governor for his support and being here with us today. My husband, Ron Verney, is here with us today. And as Senator Jones mentions, a number of the staff and leadership from Project Healthy Grandparents are here. We're so grateful to the nurses and social workers with our program, because they are the ones that are out in the field doing the day-to-day work. We're particularly grateful to the grandmothers and grandfathers who are raising their grandchildren. Sometimes the grandmothers are great-grandmothers. Sometimes they're usually on the youngish side, like 50s, 60s, but we've had some in their early 80s that are raising grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We've had grandfathers who have raised grandchildren on their own without a spouse or any significant other in the household. So I truly admire these grandparents, and I know in this very legislature, in the Senate and the House, there are a number of women and men perhaps who are raising grandchildren. So we're very grateful to them, very grateful to our clients. These are very dedicated women and men that are just, we don't know what we would do without them. In fact, without them, their children would undoubtedly be in the foster care system. So they step forward with some modest financial resources from the state and make great sacrifices in what they do on a daily basis. So I'm so grateful for them that we've been recognized in this fashion. So thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. We have very appreciative of the Senator from the 10th and that presentation. We've got our, I don't know if y'all have noticed the brown uniforms walking around the Capitol. There's only about 1,000 of them here today. So, but we are glad to have the Boy Scouts here today. And I know it is Scout Day here at the Capitol. And I know our pro tem, having had a son who was an Eagle Scout himself, is proud to introduce this group. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Resolution 242 by Senator Kennedy of the 18th and others, a resolution recognizing and commending the Boy Scouts of America in Georgia upon the 2023 Scouts Day at the Capitol and for other purposes, whereas the Boy Scouts of America is an organization dedicated to training youth in responsible citizenship, character development, and self-reliance through participation in a wide range of outdoor activities, educational programs, and service projects. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that members of this body recognize and honor the Boy Scouts of America in Georgia for their commitment to the values and principles of Scouting and for their service to the state. That is the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. I recognize our Senator, our President Pro Tem of the Senate, Senator from the 18th, to speak to the resolution and introduce our special guest.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. What a great day at the Capitol. The governor's close, actually, the president is close on the numbers. We do have over 600 scouts that are here with us at the Capitol today, and that is the biggest number that we've had, maybe ever, but certainly in a long time. And it really is my honor to welcome the Boy Scouts of America that we have with us at the Capitol. It's an organization that's dedicated to training youth in responsible citizenship, character development, and self-reliance through the participation in a wide-ranging list of activities, including outdoor activities, educational activities, and service projects. The Boy Scouts of America is one of the largest groups in Georgia. And I would tell you that if you are looking for an organization that trains and helps youth understand the principles of individual responsibility and also a love for this great country that we enjoy and that we live in, Boy Scouts is simply second to none. I will tell you one statistic, as the president mentioned. So I have one son, and my son Will is an Eagle Scout. And in the process of thinking about whether or not he would get involved, one of the statistics that I learned about Eagle Scouts, and there's a whole list from statistics of things that they accomplished during their time, but one of the statistical measures is one of every 100 Eagle Scouts will use what they learned in becoming an Eagle Scout to save someone else's life. Now think about that. That was highly motivating to me when I read that, and I thought, what a great organization that understands the importance of that and wants to teach youth in that regard. So, and last thing I'll say is one of my most favorite memories with my son was when he and I went to Philmont and spent 2 weeks hiking at the Boy Scout area there, and on Father's Day, when he was 15, we summited Baldy, the tallest mountain there, on Father's Day for the two of us. And what a great memory that is, and will remain forever. I'm honored to have with me on the floor today the president of the Boy Scouts, Tracy Tekow, who's been around with us this morning and helped so much with the preparation, and my good friend Garrett Williams, our scout leader and for the Central Georgia Council, and on the rostrum with us, Jackson Knight, Gavin Volts, Abby Baldridge, and Gavin Stokes. So glad to have them with us. Let's give them a warm welcome, as we do from the Senate. And I'll ask you, and one more thing, we've got some scouts in the gallery. Thank you all for being here. We want to recognize and honor all of you that are here. Anybody want to talk? Yes. And now let's hear from one of our scouts.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Gavin Stokes, and I am a Georgia native Eagle Scout. This opportunity really holds a special place in my heart because as I prepare to go off to college, one of my goals in the near future is to be able to join all of you here at the Capitol. Lastly, I would like to just give thanks to all that are present and all that are not for the exceptional work done to help Georgia and its people. Thank you.
Well, it's a very special day. Obviously, this is had a lot of good ladies down here yesterday. We wanted to show recognition to, like the women of Spelman College and some others that we wanted to show our tributes to. But we've got some very special guests here, the Women in Radio here standing behind me. Let's give them a big round of applause, the Women in Radio. They all have good radio voices, but all of them got the look for TV too. So they'll be all right either way. But it is good. It's good to have them here, and I want to recognize the senator from the 33rd to speak to their resolutions and introduce each one of them to us here in this chamber. Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President, my fellow senators, colleagues, friends, and y'all. I have the opportunity today to introduce to you some outstanding women in radio. As you know, this is Women History Month, and we need to recognize the pioneers who have set the table and whose shoulders future radio hosts will stand on because of their actions. We have today here, when I call your name, raise your hand, or Portia Fox, Christian Klingsher, Wendy Williams, Nisi Shaw, Alicia Cruz, and Dee Hill. As I pass out these accommodations, I'm going to ask each lady just to come up and introduce themselves and say a couple words.
I just want to congratulate all the women in radio that's with me today. And today is actually Women in Radio Day in the state of Georgia. Thanks to you all for making that happen. And once again, I want to congratulate all the honorees. Thank you.
Well, hi, good afternoon. I'm your midday queen, E.C. Shaw from Atlanta's Classic R&B. I'm so honored and I want to first and foremost thank Dee Hill with Women in Radio for this honor. I also want to take the time out to thank my beautiful family, my sister friends, my Radio 1 family, my program director in the gallery that came out of their busy schedule to support all the way from out of town as well. And it's just an extreme honor to be recognized after being a traffic anchor, news anchor, voiceover artist, and midday personality, and also TV. After 21 years in the business and to be in great company of these great queens inside Women's History Month, as well as Women in Radio Day in Georgia, it's an extreme honor, and I thank you all.
Hello, I'm Kristen Klingshirn, and I'm co-host of The Burt Show on Q99.7. Thank you. Based here in Atlanta, but nationally syndicated. And Dee didn't tell us we had to speak, but good thing we all work in radio and we're not at a loss for words. I am celebrating 20 years of radio this year and 12 years at The Burt Show. And I just want to thank Burt and my entire Burt Show crew. I especially want to thank Dee, as in my 20 years in radio, this is the first time anybody has acknowledged me in my work. And that really means a lot to me. I'm also most proud of being chairwoman of the board of Burt's Big Adventure. That's the nonprofit Burt Weiss started 20 years ago. We take kids with chronic and terminal illness down to Disney World, and we just celebrated our 20th trip this past month. Thank you. And I'm so proud of all these accomplishments, but the one accomplishment I'm most proud of is my 2-year-old Jimmy, who is here in the gallery watching Mama do her thing. So thank you all so much. And my darling husband, too. Cannot forget that.
Good morning. I think it's still morning, right? All right. My name is Portia Fox. Pleasure to be here. It's a great honor. And what's more special today is that 5 of us are here. Back in the day, it may have been 1 or 2. But we're making history in so many strides. And I've been a part of breaking those glass ceilings right here in Atlanta, Georgia. I was the first woman to be ranked #1 in afternoon drive in Atlanta, Georgia. I was the first woman to ever have her own morning show in Atlanta, Georgia. I was the first woman to get on a school bus and collect school supplies and didn't get off until it was filled. And thank you, Channel 2, for picking up that ball and carrying it on. I was also the first woman to stand overnight, 24 hours, and collect coats and toys. And I couldn't have done it if it wasn't for a great state like Georgia and great cities in Georgia. I've lived in 8 states and 13 cities, but by far, this is my favorite. Thank you so much for your love and your support, and it is an honor to be amongst so many incredibly talented women behind me. Thank you again. Love you.
Hi, my name is Alicia Cruz, and I'm on 95.9, The Beat of Athens. Alicia in the afternoon, and I am just so grateful to be here. I just feel so blessed because it's been a long, hard road. I mean, I've had lots of ups because I love this. You can't do radio and not love it, especially as a woman. Like, you have to be tough, and I've been doing this for 24 years. My first on-air job, I was harassed, and I almost quit. And it affected everything. Like, I really almost gave up on my dream. And now, 24 years down the road, I'm getting honored, and I'm so grateful to Dee Hill. Thank you so much. And I hope that we continue to celebrate women and we continue to come together like this, because I think that's the way that we can change things. And like back in the day, when I first started in radio, they told me you could do middays if you're lucky. If you're a woman, you could get middays and maybe be a co-host. And since that time, I've done mornings by myself, I've done afternoons, I've done middays, I've done nights, and now I'm here, so I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Wendy F. Williams, Jazz 91.9 WCLK General Manager. Thank you. And unlike the other women who are on the air, I happen to be one of the very few women who are a manager in radio. And I'm proud that in the state of Georgia, I've served now for almost 29 years at WCLK. It also is the only HBCU radio station that is here today. And we thank you for your support. We're member supported as well. I also want to recognize my team of management who skipped out on work today to be here to celebrate this great honor. And again, I thank you on behalf of all of us at WCLK and the women here. I just want to thank you for being my sisters in this. And we're the class of 2023, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
Governor, I'm going to make.
I recognize the senator from the 52nd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've got to go over to the House and present a bill, but I believe my Rome Chamber of Commerce found their way in here. If they're still here, I want to recognize them. Great to have them working for our community, and always do a great job for us. If you're here, if you would stand up and let us recognize you.
Before we get started with the rules calendar, I just wanted to recognize one last special guest today, the president of Georgia College and State University, located in Milledgeville, Georgia. Kathy Cox is a name that is very familiar around the state, from her time as Secretary of State to her time as the Dean of the Law School at Mercer University, and she is now president of Georgia College and State University. And I can tell you, having served that area of the state and been a part of what Georgia College has done and meant to our state, I tell everybody when they act like they're scared to go to a big school like University of Georgia, Georgia State, or Kennesaw State, I always tell them, well, you need to go to Milledgeville, Georgia, and check out I always call it the jewel of the university systems, because the liberal arts school at the Georgia College, with its beautiful campus, its very small and very student-friendly atmosphere, is something that I know our university system is proud of, and it does a great job. It turns out a lot of great students, and I'm glad that Kathy Cox is heading that program up now, and she's going to do a great job, and I'd just like to welcome her and introduce her and say a few words. Kathy?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and good morning to all of you. It's a pleasure to be back in this building with so many good friends, many of you who I had the pleasure and honor of serving with in this great Capitol, and many others of you who go way back with me, some to Leadership Georgia, some who I won't name. Senator Summers and I went to college together, believe it or not. We won't tell stories on each other, but it is a pleasure to be back with you today as the president of Georgia College and State University, the state's designated public liberal arts university. We are not your grandmother's public liberal arts university. We use a great liberal arts curriculum to teach the workforce skills that every employer wants from a student. We help students develop those critical thinking skills, communication skills, how to solve problems, how to analyze problems, how to work in teams. We are bursting at the seams with students who want that kind of education in small classes where they can really have close contact with their faculty members and with each other on one of, I dare say, Georgia's most beautiful campuses in historic downtown Milledgeville. So we're pleased today to be a part of Senator Williams' district. Lieutenant Governor Jones used to be our senator, but we are proud today to have Georgia College Day at the Capitol. I have a number of my students and staff and administrators out in the hall with me today, and our mascot, Thunder. Senator Kennedy wants Thunder to come back on the last day of the session to be the bouncer here, so we can make that happen if you need him. But thank you for what you do for us. Thank you for what you do for higher education in Georgia. It's really a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you, Mr. President.
It is now time for points of personal privilege. I recognize the senator from the 34th to speak to point.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, I rise with a heavy heart this morning. Many of you may have saw on the news on yesterday, one of our colleagues over in the House, Representative Tish Nagishi, died. Tish and I go way back. Tish was a strong volunteer for the Democratic Party. I met her while we were volunteering for the Barack campaign. It was my first convention and hers as well, but that's when I learned Tish was one of my constituents. You see, I have both Clayton and Fayette County that I represent and has been for a number of years. But today gives new meaning to me in my heart. Here today, gone tomorrow. Who would have thought Tish would no longer be here? It was difficult for me yesterday watching the news and see WSB and her picture, not knowing, I knew she was in the hospital, but I did not know she had transpired. Oh, Lord help me. Mr. President, let's just ask for a moment of silence, please.
Senator requests a moment of silence.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator.
I'll yield. I just can't finish. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And you speak for all of us. Our hearts and prayers, our thoughts and prayers are with the family of the representative who passed unexpectedly. And it is a tragic situation. And I know y'all are dear friends, as well as some other senators in here were dear friends with the representative as well. So, Senator from the 20th, would you like to take a point of personal privilege?
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I come to the well to talk to you about a very special man in my life. He was born 81 years ago today, March 9th, 1942. He has been a dedicated husband of Janice Knighton for 58 years, father of 4, grandfather of 9, great-grandfather. He was a very loving father. He loves the Lord and his church, loves his family, but I don't think I've ever met anybody that loves the state of Georgia more and loves his hometown more, hometown of Perry. He was an attorney practicing in Houston County for 57 years. He served in the Georgia House for 32 years, 16 terms, served from January 1973 to January 2005. In fact, he served with our president's father over in the House, and he served with some of the members of this body in the House. 16 years of his 32 years, he was House Majority Leader. He was also floor leader for Governor Harris. After he retired from the Georgia House, he went on to serve on the Georgia DOT Board and the Board of Regents. So I want to say happy birthday to Lawrence Cohen Walker, Jr. I love you, Dad. Thanks.
Larry Walker, there's no doubt about it, has cut a wide path in Middle Georgia. He's a good man. I'm glad we can celebrate his birthday today. He served with my father in the House back in the late 70s, early 80s, and I know my father always thought the world of you, Dad, and give him our best. And I was appreciative to get to speak to him on the phone yesterday. He might be 81 today, but his mind's better than mine and yours put together, Larry. So good deal. Recognize the senator from the 35th. You want to speak from your? Okay.
Mr. President, I'd like to invite everyone on this Monday, the 13th, on the Capitol South Wing steps to come to International Diaspora Day. And we have about 7 consulates from different countries that are going to be here, and different other countries are going to have tables and food and little things to give away. So please join us 9 a.m. and we'll have lunch from 12 noon until it goes away. So please join us, and you can wear your different traditional clothes of the country that you want to support. I will have my African dress on. So I'll invite all of you to participate. And thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Senator from the 55th. Would you like to speak at your desk or in the well?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 40th.
Without objection, the senator from the 40th is excused. Does any other senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Senator from the 29th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had the opportunity the other day to go to the site of the new training center they're building here in Atlanta with the senator from the 39th and the senator from the 56th. And I was able to witness the professionalism of the men and women of the Atlanta Police Department, Georgia State Patrol, and other state agencies who had responded to the civil unrest that had occurred the prior week. We had the opportunity to walk the site, to look at videos of the actual assault, and to talk to some of the men and women who were there at the time. and to look at the evidence of the burned out vehicles and Connex boxes and things that were there. So first of all, I want to thank the men and women, the professional men and women that were out there doing the job of keeping that community safe, because understand there are neighborhoods around that property that want the men and women of law enforcement out there to protect them from this chaos that is being brought from outside of our state. And I want to tell you, what we're experiencing here in Atlanta and what those citizens out there in those communities and what those law enforcement are experiencing is legitimate eco-terrorism. It has been a pattern that has been trained and taught since the 1960s, and it continues today. If you have never read a book called Monkey Wrenching, I would encourage you to go read the book and you'll understand. This is a blueprint that has been carried out over and over and over, and many times it not only does it lead to more destruction, but it leads to loss of life. So when you read about this in the paper, please read it thoroughly and understand what's going on. But more importantly, if given the opportunity, go out there, look at that training site, and thank the men and women that are out there protecting it for the citizens of Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
All right. Thank you, Senator. All right. Anyone else? Point of personal privilege. I hear none. Are there any unanimous consents? Does any senator? You have a consent calendar of privilege resolutions before you. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Actually, let me recognize Senator from 27th.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that House Bill 505 be withdrawn from the Committee on Judiciary and committed to the Committee on Rules.
Okay, we're not quite there right yet, but we'll come back to you when we're at that point. Right now, you have a consent calendar of privilege resolutions before you. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Chair hearing none. Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? Chair hears none. The resolution on the consent calendar are adopted. All right, Senators from 27th. All right. It's that moment in time.
Thank you,
right
Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that House Bill 505 be withdrawn from the Committee on Judiciary and committed to the Committee on Rules.
The senator from the 27th has asked for unanimous consent for House Bill 505 to be withdrawn and recommitted from Judy over to Rules. Is there objection? Read the caption.
House Bill 505 by Representative Chokas of the 151st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 161130 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to riot so as to provide for a felony penalty to amend Code Section 1761 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to when offenses, bailable procedure, schedule of bails, and appeal bonds. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator has made the motion. Is there objection to the motion? There is objection. Got 3 minutes each side. Senators from the 27th, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I would ask your support on this motion. House Bill 505 is a bill that needs some work that can only appropriately and most judiciously be vetted in the Rules Committee. With that, I'll yield the well.
Senator from the 41st.
Thank you, Mr. President. We object to this because this is a really important bill that has significant legal consequences. And so we all know that judiciary is the place where our lawyers are present, where they can ask good and meaningful questions about this. And so we want to make sure that this bill gets a full and fair hearing, and therefore we ask that it stay in judiciary.
Thank you, Senator. Senators yielded as well. Okay, Senator from the 28th, the Rules Chairman, would like to speak to the...
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to remind the senator from the 41st, we have nothing but the smartest, brightest men and women on rules, including the minority leader. Thank you.
Okay, the motion has been made to move House Bill 505 from Judy to rules. There is objection. We're just going to vote on it. All those in favor of the motion from the senator from the 27th, vote yea. All those opposed, vote no. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 30 and the nays are 20. This motion has prevailed. House Bill 505 will be recommitted to rules. Recognize Senator from the 45th for motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent for House Bill 249 to be withdrawn from education and youth and then committed to higher education.
The senator has moved that House Bill 249 be taken from education and youth and put in the Committee of Higher Education, and I'm assuming both chairmen are in agreement with this motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
All right, read the caption. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 249 by Representative Martin of the 49th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the needs-based financial aid program so as to provide for a definition, to provide for a maximum award amount, to provide for a maximum single payment amount. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection? Without objection, the motion is granted. Senator from 27th, you have your lights on. He's not there. All right. So I guess. All right. You have before you a consent calendar of local bills. Mr. Secretary, have any objections been filed to any of the bills on the local consent calendar?
Mr. President, no objections have been filed.
Is there objection to agreeing to report of the Committee on State and Local Government Operations, which is favorable to the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. The question is on the passage of the bills on local consent calendar. All those in favor will vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51, the nays are 0. This bill on the local consent calendar, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. Senator from the 6th, for what purpose do you rise?
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 7th.
With that, the senators ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 7th. Without objection, the senator is excused. All right, moving on to the rules calendar. The rules calendar is going to go a lot faster than the special presentations, I believe. So, all right, HB 55. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 55 by Representative Williamson of the 112th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title VII of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to banking and finance so as to provide for definitions, to provide for dates, to repeal laws relating to international banking corporations and bank agencies, to provide for an exemption to installment loan licensing and regulation, to provide for notice requirements, to provide for installment loan interest calculations. The Committee of the Senate on Banking and Financial Institutions recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Summers of the 13th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 18th to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I know this is the moment you've been waiting for, the annual banking rewrite bill that we all get to look at and get a chance to vote on. This is the annual housekeeping bill. It contains proposed legislative changes identified internally by the department or suggested by the industry over the course of the previous year. We have a bill similar to this every year. Part of this is just making sure we're keeping up with the proper terminology and methodology of our banking department and how our banks operate in this state. It also includes references to the federal code because, as you would expect, we have to have alignment and sometimes realignment between changes at federal law and changes at our state level. This bill contains revisions to the state's banking code that regulates banks, credit unions, and installment lenders, money service businesses and transmitters, sellers of payment instruments and check cashers, as well as some mortgage lenders. The legislation is supported by all of the various industry associations and in banking, and no groups expressed any objection or opposition to the bill during the committee process. I'm also pleased to tell you that the bill proposes some much-needed cleanup of the laws governing the regulations of these industries, and it passed out of the House Banking Committee unanimously and out of the House unanimously, came over to our chamber or to our committee process and passed out of our Senate Banking and Finance Committee unanimously, and I have it here for you today. Happy to go over sections, but it may make better use of our time, and according to the President's comments, I'll just yield for questions if there are any. Otherwise, I'd appreciate your favorable consideration of this annual bill.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you. I yield the will.
Does any senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agree to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Moving on to H.R. 157, House Resolution 157. Secretary, read the caption.
House Resolution 157 by Representative Green of the 154th and others, a resolution authorizing the lease of certain state-owned property located in Appling County, authorizing the conveyance of certain state-owned property located in Bacon County, authorizing the lease of certain state-owned property located in Bacon County. The Committee of the Senate on State Institutions and Property recommends that this resolution do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Harbison of the 15th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 15th. Speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much. This is very joyful to get up here and pass a housekeeping bill. No controversy known about it. This is the annual housekeeping bill for the State Institutions and Property Committee. There are 9 conveyances. The resolution gives the legal description of each property being sold or leased, as well as authorized conveyance amounts for each of those transactions. 9 counties listed, so if there are no questions, Mr. President, I will yield the well.
You have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Does any senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the resolution by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the resolution, the yeas are 51, the nays are 0. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. H.R. 158. Secretary, read the caption.
House Resolution 158 by Representative Green of the 154th and others, a resolution authorizing the granting of non-exclusive easements for the construction, installation, operation, and maintenance of facilities, utilities, roads, and ingresses and egresses in, on, over, under, upon, across, or through property owned by the state of Georgia in Calhoun, Camden, Chatham, Clark, Coffee. The Committee of the Senate on State Institution and Property recommends that this resolution do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Harbison of the 15th District Chairman. State Institutions and Property offers the following substitute to House Resolution 158, a resolution authorizing the granting of non-exclusive easements for the construction, installation, operation, and maintenance of facilities, utilities, roads, and ingresses and egresses in, on, over, under, upon, across, or through property owned by the state of Georgia in Bacon, Calhoun, Camden, Chatham, Clark, Coffee. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the Dean of the Senate again.
And again, Mr. President, thank you. This is the companion bill to the previous bill. It's the annual housekeeping bill for 23 easements in the county, in the various counties. It describes in detail the property being affected by the easement, being authorized, the intended recipient of the easement, and various terms of each of those amendments and easements. If there are no questions, Mr. President, I will yield the well.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question be it ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question be it ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the adoption of the resolution by substitute. All those in favor of the resolution vote yea. All those opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the adoption of the resolution by substitute, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 0. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted by substitute. I recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that Rule 3-1.2, Paragraph C, related to crossover day, be suspended to allow for the receipt and the assignment of House Bill 19, the FY24 Appropriations Bill.
The majority leader has moved to suspend the rules so that we can receive the budget here later on this afternoon, so that we can stand in recess and then receive the budget later on this afternoon. Is there objection to that? Without objection, motion is granted. Recognize the majority leader for another motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand in recess pending receipt of a message from the House transmitting House Bill 19, the budget, and upon receipt of the message and the assignment of the bill to committee, that the Senate stand adjourned pursuant to SR 6 until 10 a.m. Monday, March 13th.
The majority leader has moved. We're going to stand in recess so that we can receive the budget. I will be here to receive the budget and assign it to the appropriate committee, and then we will adjourn. So we will stand in recess and hope that we're going to have our announcements, and I hope everybody will be sure to attend your committee meetings, and we greatly appreciate the majority leader and the minority leader working with us on making this happen where we can continue our day and get our work done and everything. So without objection on the motion, we'll stand in recess. No objections. Have the announcement here. We'll have the announcements, and then we'll stand in recess. Secretary?
The Rules Committee meeting will happen upon adjournment in 450 of the Capitol. The Children and Families Committee meeting will happen at 1 p.m. in 307 CLOB. The Appropriations Health and Human Development Subcommittee meeting will happen at 2 p.m. in 450 of the Capitol. The Appropriations Agriculture and Natural Resources Subcommittee meeting will happen at 2 p.m. in Mezzanine 1 of the Capitol. The Judiciary Committee meeting will happen at 4 p.m. in 307 CLOB. The Natural Resources Environment Committee meeting is canceled. The Public Safety Committee meeting will happen at 5 p.m. in 450 of the Capitol. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Please go to your committee meetings. we'll stand in recess and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank y'all. Oh, Senator from the 37th, for what purpose do you rise? He waved it. He waved it. Senator from the 36th, for what purpose do you rise? Oh, you like to have an announcement. I'm sorry. Senator from the 36th, like to take the well.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I want to remind you that we have hot lunch in CLOB 307, the Working Families Caucus weekly meeting. Please join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. We'll stand in recess. Thank you.